Hello, teachers and educators, and welcome to Town Yoga. This transition to distance has been incredibly challenging for a lot of us, and that might include a bit of a physical challenge as well. So if you're working from home with your students, you're probably spending a lot more time in front of the computer screen than you usually do, and you're going to start feeling that in the shoulders and neck, and of course in the back and hips. Some of those key areas just from sitting a lot and also from carrying a bit of stress around in the body. So I invite you to take a little bit of time to take care of yourself. For you and for your students, it's definitely important to practice self-care. So if a little light stretch and gentle yoga sounds like self-care to you, then I invite you to join me. This is going to be a practice focused on my teachers out there who are at home and who need to spend a little bit of time to feel good. We're not going to be challenging you in this practice. We're not going to be building strength. You are strong enough. You are facing enough challenges. Let's take some time to just feel good, to breathe, slow down, and really give yourself some time to decompress and to be in your own body. So if you'd like to join in, what you'll want is the space of a yoga mat. If you have a mat, that's great. If not, just clear space about this size for you to practice in. 2 pillows if you can. It's going to be really great at the end. We're going to prop ourselves up a little with these pillows and take a nice posture, relax the back. And then something else that might be nice is a blanket. We'll come to our knees a little bit, and some cushion underneath those knees are great. So let's feel good today. Treat yourself. Go get yourself some props, clear a space, maybe pour a glass of water, because I know all of us are drinking less water than we probably normally do. That's what happens when routines change. So come on in, and we're going to start standing just for a few rounds of breath and then settle into the mat and kind of relax. Start with your feet a little wider than your hips. And you're just going to let your shoulders kind of roll a few times until they relax down. Beautiful. And we're just going to take a little bit of, I want to start with some twists today. That's right. So we'll bring our hands out in front of us. Bend your elbows so your palms are kind of facing down to the ground. And you're just going to turn to one side and lift that other heel up. And then you're going to turn to the next side, lift, turning on the ball of your foot, and just start to relax into it. Taking a few little torso twists here today. So some of that tightness in the middle, just kind of breathe into it. Relax into twisting. Maybe you even let the hands come down. Maybe you keep them up. And you're going to notice you get a few options here today, because I want you to find what feels good for you. One more circle. And then relax it back to center. And now we're going to take arm circles out wide. So you want to make sure you have enough space to reach here and then kind of up here. Feet are a little wider than the hips again. Palms forward, stand up nice and tall, lifting the belly up and in. And then inhale, reach out and up. Turn your palms out and then reach all the way back down. Inhale, we're going to lift it up. Exhale, bring it back out and down. Let's do 2 more, just at your breath pace, inhaling and exhaling. One more time, all the way back down. Roll the shoulders again. Beautiful. Now we're going to take a forward fold down to hands and knees. So you can take any path to get there, but if you want to join me, I'm going to kind of walk down the body. You can have your blanket already set up, so you have that cushion ready for underneath your knees. Maybe just stand behind that blanket for now. And you're just going to send the hips back, bend your knees, and start to walk your hands down your thighs. Bend the knees till they come to the ground, walk it out, and here you are in a simple tabletop, which is hands and knees. And now in this tabletop, we're going to stretch our wrists, because that is an area that might be a little bit more tense from a bit more typing than we're used to. So here, with your palms under your shoulders, spread your fingers, and then you're going to take one hand and just turn it wide And then keep turning it back towards your thigh. Very gently press down, first to the fingers, and then through the palm. And you can adjust your angle a little bit. And you're just going to find gentle stretch over the front of the wrist. And then all the way through the palm and fingers as well. And if yours is lifted, that's fine. You're going to your level. There's no rubric here. There's no getting an A. You just need to explore and breathe. Turning that first hand back to center. We're going to do the same thing on the other hand. Turning first out wide. And then keep turning back. Find which angle feels best by just gently exploring. There's no rush. You've already reserved the time and space to stretch and breathe. So let's do just that. And then we'll turn that palm back to center. And now cat-cow, a yoga classic, and we want this practice to be good for all different body types because we have all different types and teachers. So you might modify, maybe the hands or knees will come wider if that feels good. You can hips and shoulders, but you'll just start to let your belly lower down, keeping your arms straight. Feel your shoulders draw back and kind of lift the front of your neck a little bit. And you're going to feel your tailbone naturally tip up. This is our cow pose. And then it's kind of counter is cat, where you press through the shoulders now, and you start to stretch the back of your neck. And your tailbone kind of tips downward. And we'll just flow between the two with our breath. As the belly comes down, you inhale and you lift up. And then as you exhale, just press and round away from the mat, but relax the head down. And enjoy a few slow rounds of breath in cat-cow here, just letting the spine kind of move gently. The muscles that run along it get to move as well. And then pause back in neutral. And now we're going to take a similar pose, but down on our forearms, and we're going to work into the shoulders and neck. So this is one pose that helps with that. I actually have another practice if you have a lot of shoulder and neck tension that I'm going to link above and in the comments section or the description below. So you can actually pause and go to that one and come back if that's a really tense area. Or maybe start here and see how this feels. Coming down to the forearms. And again, you might have your elbows wider, more narrow. It's kind of up to you. But you're going to take similar motions to cat-cow, press and round. But then rock forward and back a little bit. We'll come to that arched spine and rock forward and back a little bit here. And they're kind of funky movements, so feel free to create your own path in a way. And eventually you're just going to start to widen the knees, bring the toes together, and rock your hips back towards your heels. You might have the chest lifted, or you might be able to kind of lower it down. And then if you'd like, you can even grab those pillows and lower onto them. We'll pause here for just a few rounds of breath in and out. And as you breathe in, you might feel the back of your body get a little bigger, the back kind of expand. And as you breathe out, let it relax. Take one more breath in this kind of child's pose, or maybe you're still working into the shoulders a little bit. You really are invited to adapt this practice to what feels good to you. And we'll just meet back in a little seat here for a moment or two. All right, so we got in some kind of twisting, some cat-cows there. Oh, let's come back to tabletop, and we're going to do a little bit of free movement there. So Cat-cow is that kind of traditional movement, and I'm going to invite you to come out to the sides a little bit to kind of press back and forward, and then eventually we're going to lower down onto our belly to take a Sphinx pose. So you can leave this cushion underneath your knees, and then when you lower down, you're welcome to leave it there or remove it. Yogi's choice. Tabletop to start. So that cat-cow on the hands or back down on the forearms, just the belly down and back. But it might feel nice to rock the ribs out to the side a little. I like to kind of play spinal jump rope and send it out to the sides between cat and cows. You might like to circle the hips back towards the heels a little bit. These half circles can feel really nice. So enjoy exploring for a few rounds of breath with nothing else to do but breathe and move gently in your body. Just a few more rounds here of kind of natural tabletop movement. Hands or forearms. Maybe you're giving more attention to the neck or the hips. And then to come down to a Sphinx pose on it, you walk the knees back. Start to lower down onto your forearms and let your belly come down. But just keep that chest up. And you're going to have your elbows under your shoulders, your hands underneath or on the kind of ground here, the tops of your feet just resting. And you get to just draw the shoulders back, lift the chest a little bit, and Sphinx is a good place to open from all that kind of rounding that we do sometimes. So if you want to bring the elbows wider and more narrow, again, you get to kind of pick here. And then you can stay in Sphinx or join me for a few cobras, which are going to be a little bit more active. For cobra, we're going to lower our chest down and just slide your hands underneath your shoulders. Hug the elbows back towards your ribs and really press your whole palm down to the ground. And then you're going to feel those shoulders draw back and start to lift your chin a little higher, followed by the chest. Inhale up. Keep the elbows bent. And exhale, slowly lower down. I'll take 2 more cobras, nice and slow, just inhaling up. Gentle strength in the back. Exhaling down. If you're in your Sphinx, you can bring your palms under the shoulders. We'll take this last cobra together. Back to tabletop and then child's pose before we transition down to laying on our back. So palms under the shoulders, draw the elbows back. Inhale, lift up. Lift up your belly too, back to hands and knees. And then bring the knees out nice and wider than the hips, the big toes together. And you'll start to walk your hips back to heels. And then maybe you can walk the hands out. If the hips are lifted, that's okay. If the ground's too far away, that's all right. We're just going to pause here for a breath in this general direction. Slowly start to walk your hands back. Remember, you're at home. You're welcome to stay there longer if you like. If any of those poses felt pretty good, pause it and stay there for a while, then join back in. Coming to our back is going to feel pretty nice here. A great way to kind of relax the back and stretch the hips a little. So I like to bring hands off to one side so the weight can come out of your heels and you swing them around. Plant them in front of your body and then go ahead and roll back on your mat. Let's have those pillows just off to the side. We're going to slide them under at the end as a little prop here. So when you're in your space, we're going to roll on back. Oh, that's right. I have some good options here. Gotta check the lesson plan every now and then. All right, leaving the knees bent for a moment. You're just gonna feel your shoulders kind of firm under your back, your chest nice and open. And then from here, we're gonna draw our knees up towards our armpits, and your hands can be on your thighs or your knees. Rock side to side. And then from here, you might just stay here. Maybe you like drawing some circles or some rocking, or happy baby is nearby. Reach the soles of your feet up. You take your hands to the inside of your knees, elbows are inside, and you can grab either just the top of your shin and you kind of pull them down a little bit, leaving the lower back on the ground, and you can rock here now. Or you might take a deeper variation, bringing your hand all the way to the outer edge of the foot. Elbows are still inside the shins or knees. And here you might rock or even extend one leg. You just get to be a little bit playful. And of course, going back to circling whenever it feels good. We'll take about 5 rounds of breath, just free movement here in the hips, knees, bending and extending. Taking that happy baby. It's a chance to just explore what feels good to you as you slowly move and breathe. A really good time to just close your eyes and move around without thinking too much about it. And this segues really nicely into our windshield wipers, where you'll plant your feet down wider than your hips. And you're going to want a little space off to either side to lower the knees down. There we go. So your hands will just be by your sides, shoulders under your back, feet wider than your hips. Let the knees kind of follow your ankles out wide. And then send both knees over to one side. That opposite hip is going to lift up a bit. And then you'll bring them back to center and send them over to the other side. They can just stop here. They don't have to go all the way to the ground. But you can if you like. You have to find what feels good here. And the angle is going to change based on kind of how far apart your feet are and how far they are from your hips. So you can play with that a little bit to find which angles give you a nice stretch. All right, my educators, pause for a moment with those knees pointing upward. And here we're going to settle into a little resting pose with just a few rounds of meditative breath. So if you do have your props, these pillows, just take them and slide them underneath your thighs. It could be knees or ankles as well, but might try thighs to start. And you're going to extend your legs out over those blankets, over those pillows. You're welcome to slide that blanket under your head if you'd like a little cushion there. And with this little elevation here, go ahead and let your kind of hips shorten but also relax a little. And you can bring your palms by your sides. You can rest them on your belly to kind of feel your breath, or it might feel nice to take them up overhead. Once you find what's comfortable, I'll ask you to close your eyes. And for a little bit, just feel your breath, noticing what it feels like to inhale, to pause at the top, to exhale out, and to pause at the bottom for a few rounds of slow and mindful breath. In this supported reclined posture, I invite you to close your eyes and to take a few rounds of breath where you just notice the sensation of the inhale, your body growing a bit larger, the pause at the top of your breath, the sensation of your exhale as you gently compress down, and the pause you take at the bottom. Reserving a little bit of time to just notice and feel your breath as it is now, and the movement it brings into your body, even as you lay in stillness. As you stay in your reclined posture, you might notice your breath come back to a more natural rhythm. And here I invite you to let your thoughts come and go as easily as your breath is entering and exiting your body. Holding on a little less tightly to each thought as we just let it pass. A little less emotional response as you give yourself a bit of a break. To best serve yourself and your students, I invite you to take time each day to do something that charges you, something that brings you into the present moment, into feeling a bit confident and sure of yourself. Whether that's a yoga practice, time for a favorite book, find some enjoyment in each day so you can still continue to serve your students. I'll close our practice here in this resting pose so you can stay and breathe as long as you'd like. The light in me honors and respects the light in you. Have a great day.